Alright, what's up everybody? My name is James. Welcome to my channel. The footage looks a little bit strange. No glowing bikes, no power-ups. This is real-life outdoor racing in the flesh, and I'm pumped. But yeah, I've been really training hard in the off-season. The 2025 road season has finally arrived. For those of you who just started following me within the past 3 to 4 months or so, you guys might not even know that I race outside, but now you know. I'm going to do my best to recap this race. There is quite a lot to talk about, so let's start with what race is this? This is called TradeZone Training Race, hosted by Bike Doctor and I think Otter House as well. And this race is USA Cycling sanctioned, so there are still upgrade points up for grabs. So yeah, a training race, but basically like any other race. We are in Upper Marlboro, I don't know why I can't say that word, Maryland, which is east of Washington, D.C. And yeah, this series is 4 weeks long. Unfortunately, the first 2 weeks, which were in February, were canceled because of inclement weather. So there was quite a lot of suspense coming into this race. My team, Team SLR, Speed Lab Racing, we are wearing orange jerseys. We did order our new 2025 designed kit, which is really, really awesome. And we are waiting for that to arrive. That should be here within a week or so. But for today, we're wearing our solid orange training jerseys. This is the B race, which means Cat 3s and 4s are racing together here. And this race is 75 minutes long, which is actually longer than most of the races that we have throughout the season. The field size on the day was about 40 people. And our team brought out 5 guys for this race. I am a Cat 3, there were 3 other Cat 3s with us. And there was one Cat 4 who did the C race prior to this. And that race is 45 minutes long, so he was mainly using this race for training time. Unfortunately, he didn't last the entire race with the pack. And one of our Cat 3s sustained some knee injury, and he hasn't been able to get quality training over the past few weeks, so he was not in the best fitness, but he did pretty well sticking with the pack. So with regard to the SLR, even though we had 5 people registered and in the race, there were 3 of us that were somewhat active and shaping the story of the race from our team's end. There were about 3 or 4 other teams in this race that were pretty well represented. District Taco in the yellow kit here, they had 9 people registered. I'm not sure if all 9 showed up, but there were definitely quite a lot of them in the race. And as we go through the recap, I'll point out some of the teams that are present here. Alright, team plan and roles. We wanted to set up Alec and Nick for some points and a good finish. All 3 of us were going to stay towards the front third of the pack just to patrol the front. They were still going to be active as needed off the front, but for the most part, my role was to be domestique. I was going to be the most active following moves and being represented in the break for our team. And then at the end, the plan was for me to be a lead out for them. Up to this point in the race, I have covered a couple moves already. I started my GoPros with about 35 minutes left in the race, so from here on out, it'll be about 30 minutes to the end. If we take a look at the course, it looks like an upside-down Hershey Kiss, I think. It's a pretty non-technical course. All 3 of the turns are pretty wide open, but even though the corners are not technical, any corner really is an opportunity to gain some efficiency. It's a great course for an early season race, especially because it's not technical. All the people who are coming off of indoor training and, even myself being on Zwift quite a lot, it's a good course and race to get back into the feel of riding outside. There were definitely a few people that I know who were trolling me, saying that, they would stay away from me because I've been on the indoor trainer so much. But yeah, clearly they underestimate my riding skill, I guess. Which admittedly I don't have a ton of, but come on, we can do this. Anyway, it felt great to race outside. Alright, so if you look in front of me here, we have Alec in front of me, we have Nick in front of him, so we are riding together. And we are always going to be in somewhat of a decent position to respond to anything that goes off the front, if needed. There's no real feature on the course itself except for maybe like a 2 or 3% uphill drag to the finish line. The conditions on the day are pretty good. You can see that it's pretty sunny. It was in maybe the low 50s for the temperature, which in Celsius I think is somewhere around 12 or 13 degrees. So the top part of the course as we're going east, that section of the course is almost always fast in general. The wind at this point in the race was coming from the south. So as we come down the right side of the course, we go downhill you can catch a pretty good draft, but then when it flattens out, you're still getting kind of blasted in the face. And then when you take the final turn, coming back up towards the northwest, there was a little bit of a tailwind, and then the main thing to note about the wind was actually that it changed direction during the race. So within the next 10 to 15 minutes or so before the finish of the race, the wind is actually going to come from the northwest, which means after we make that final corner on the southernmost part of the course, when we're coming up to the finish, which is about 600 meters from that corner, what used to be a tailwind earlier in the race is going to turn into a headwind, so that is somewhat significant. So as you're watching this, if you're wondering what my threshold is, it's somewhere around 290. I weigh 71 kilos, or right around there, which is somewhere around 157 pounds. So my FTP is around 4 watts per kilo. My threshold heart rate is somewhere around 190. I have done something like 193 beats per minute for over 20 minutes. But generally speaking, if I'm somewhere around 190 in a race, I'm generally working decently hard. I don't ever really look at my power and my heart rate data during a race, and I didn't during this race either. So I'm just seeing this after the fact. But I did notice that my heart rate was a little bit lower than usual. I did race a stage race on Zwift. I think 7 out of the past 8 days I was racing. So this is my intensity block, and this race is capping it off. So I'm not surprised that my heart rate is a little bit lower than usual. I mean, I'm probably fatigued, even though my legs felt great, honestly, today. But yeah, this race happened on Saturday, which was March 1st, and I had it planned to do 5 full days of rest after this race, so I'm enjoying that right now.
Sit in. I'm going.
Alright, you just heard me tell Nick and Alec that I'm going. So I'm following this move that was started by Ross here. He's wearing a black kit. He's actually a friend of mine, and I know he's a very strong guy. I don't know, he's got like a 340 FTP or something. But he's a very strong triathlete. Very, very close to getting his pro card, actually. But anyway, multiple people, multiple teams were following that move. So I lead the way for my team to follow that. Like I mentioned before, the corners are all pretty wide open. I can pedal through pretty much all of them, especially because I have 165mm cranks, which I've been on for maybe 2.5 years already. At faster speeds on this course, maybe on the final corner, it'll be a little bit more questionable to pedal through the corner, but carrying speed through all 3 of these corners is not too difficult. But if you look around, there are a few people here and there that seem to have a little bit of difficulty handling the corners smoothly. And you can definitely spot those people pretty much immediately. And for me personally, if I identify someone like that, I just try to stay away from them. Partly for efficiency's sake, and partly for safety's sake. Alright, so little gap forms here. We are not represented in that front group, so I'm just gonna hop across. And as I'm about to make contact with the group, I carry as much speed as I can through the corner, and I roll through the group on the right side. A couple guys get vocal about the gap that we have, and they want to roll a brake, so I actually, very luckily and seamlessly, get onto Ross's wheel here as he starts to pick it up. And then you'll see when he pulls off and it's my turn, I am just above threshold, pretty much. But what you're about to see for the next few minutes is probably the most dysfunctional brake that you have ever seen. Yeah, maybe it's inexperience rolling brake. I don't know what it is, but you'll definitely see a bunch of other guys in the brake surging as they are taking up the front. Like every time I roll to the front, I'm rolling through at just above threshold, and then I peel off and I rotate, give the person behind me shelter, and I'm trying to do that rotating pace line.
Steady, keep it steady. Start rotating.
And I'm yelling at a couple people to keep it steady. And maybe they didn't know exactly what I meant by that, but you'll see what I mean. But anyway, spoiler alert, this brake doesn't stick, even though it probably should have, because I think maybe only Fed Hill, which was another team in the race, and maybe GII, they're probably the only 2 teams that missed this brake. And the strongest solo rider, Ross, is with us here too, so. Alright, yeah, here we go. Some semblance of a functional brake for maybe 15 seconds or so. Redshift guy does a good job pulling through, rotating over. I pull through above threshold, rotate over, and then yeah, it just, I don't know. Looking at it now, you know, most people say the ideal size for a functional brake is maybe 4 to 5 riders. This group was probably just too big at maybe 8 or 9 riders. After we come around the second corner too, I actually see that Alec is here somehow. So the fact that we have 2 guys in the brake is obviously an advantage. So we definitely don't mind rolling the brake here. One of the things that I've heard, and I say I've heard because I haven't really experienced this much because I'm not a super experienced racer. If you have a teammate in a brake, you don't want to be back to back, because let's just say that your teammate takes a pull and then they go to the back to recover and then you take a pull. And if someone in the group has enough fitness and the race sense to also attack you, especially when you're finishing up your pull, then neither you nor your teammate are in a good position or in a good spot to cover that move. So that's the primary reason why it looks like I'm skipping a pull, but really I'm just positioning myself to be a little bit apart from Alec just in case something like that happens. Which, I mean, in hindsight, it probably wouldn't have happened, but that's just something to note. If you peek in the back there, you can see that the main field is catching up to us. They are probably 4 seconds back. Our brake just has guys strewn across the road, even though we are still trying to roll the brake here. When we come through the line on this lap, it'll say 8, but I think it's 7 laps to go, which will be a little less than 10 miles or about 15 kilometers. So we just came through corner number 1 with 8 laps to go, and you see behind me Nick. He puts in a quick little dig. He told me that Fed Hill was basically doing all the work to pull back the brake, and Nick was just sitting in, so he goes to the front to potentially go over the top, but he sees that Ross goes and he slots in. I'm not exactly sure what would have been the best move, but the pace picks up again, and then we eventually come back together as a group. Alright, we're coming up to 5 laps to go. My heart rate is well in check and under control. And honestly, this race hasn't felt very hard up to this point. I think the main reason why is because I've been doing a lot of Zwift racing. When you race on Zwift, you have to recover at upper zone 2 tempo quite a lot. And in outdoor racing, you can definitely coast much more than when you race on Zwift. When you race on Zwift, you hardly can coast at all. So, to be completely honest, my perception of what is hard on the bike has shifted a little bit because of the Zwift racing that I've been doing. So I actually think feeling pretty comfortable at this moment in the race was filling me with a bit of confidence. But anyway, like I said, I think a lot of the Zwift racing that I've been doing has really helped me be able to recover after hard efforts, and that new type of training or stimulus has really helped me. So if you see coming up behind me on the left side, there's a Redshift rider who is creeping up. And I decide to go for an attack here. It's honestly not a great attack. I'm not coming from the back. I don't have a good speed differential. And there's really no good reason to be attacking here, honestly. But I was having fun. I was excited to be outside. So I just went for it a little bit. A few guys follow. The entire group follows them. So that attack doesn't last very long. I shut it down right before this windy downhill section. And then roll with the pack for about another half lap, and then you'll see here I'm stuck behind a couple riders. A couple GII riders are on the front because one of their guys is off the front, and they are basically trying to slow the pace of the pack. I'm pretty certain that a solo rider is not going to get away and stick the effort to the line. But at the same time, we were rolling pretty slowly and I didn't want to take this corner in this position. So right when they gave me a little bit of space, I attack through the right side, get to the corner before Ted on the left here, and then at least by doing this, I get to roll through the corner on my own and put a little bit of pressure on the group behind us. You'll see that this is not a fully committed move by any means, and I know the group is going to catch us at some point.
Let's go, Mick, finish it out.
But the gap to the solo rider is coming down, and Nick and Alec behind are just sitting in the pack. The group catches me after this final corner. You can actually hear that the wind is howling quite a lot more than it was before. So this stretch of road is going to have much more of a headwind coming into the finish later. And with only about 3 laps to go, you can tell that the intensity in the group is rising a little bit too, so completely normal. Oh, hello, Anthony. This is Anthony. He is a Cat 3 on our team. He's the one that's kind of battling a knee injury. Anthony is our team designer, and he creates all our kits with our input, of course. And I'm sure he doesn't mind, but he gives us a hard time about it. But yeah, he's the one who keeps us looking fresh. So when the new kits arrive, I will show you guys somehow on the channel somewhere. All right, with 3 laps to go, I will try to talk a little bit less.
Sit in, sit in.
I'll let you hear the sounds of the race, and I'll probably throw in a couple of thoughts here and there.
I'm here. Push up, push up, push up.
Alright, here I find myself behind a bubble of riders. I am out of position. I want to be a little bit further forward. So if they give me some space on the left, I'm going to be assertive and try to make up some wheels here. Clearly nothing reckless, but definitely more proactive. Watching this back in my role as domestique, I should have been in front of Alec. I should have been definitely much more mindful of that, or at least more urgent about it. So that was definitely my mistake. And if I'm ever domestique again, I'll be sure to fix that. All right, we're coming up to 1 lap to go. We're gonna get the bell through the start-finish line here. I get separated from Alex's wheel, and I'm a little bit boxed in, but I find a move to go out to the left and pop out. I thought it would be cool to include Alex's power here, so there it is, next to mine.
Alex, pop out, pop out.
Not the cleanest way to edit it, mainly because I don't know how to, but it gets the information across, and that's all that matters. I am on the front way too early here, so I'm soft pedaling and I want a few people to come around. A kid wearing a Virginia Tech jersey on the left sends it pretty hard. I know this is way too far from the line for a move like that to stick, but I ramp up my speed to follow whoever's going to be following him. It ends up being Alec. He sprints in front of me, and now our positions and roles are pretty much flipped, but he's also on the front, which isn't ideal at this point. Anyway, at this point in the race, if I don't hear Nick come up behind me and say something, I'm going to be trying to go for a result. So I shift my mindset here, and you'll see I try to conserve as much as I can till the finish. Wait, what? Is that?
Car up!
Yeah, car on the course at a pretty inopportune time. And yeah, not the safest. And this was actually the second time it happened. It happened earlier in the race too, with people coming in and doing a U-turn and trying to get to where they need to go. I don't know. Hopefully it doesn't happen this coming Saturday, but thankfully nobody got injured here because of it. All right, sadly coming up here within the final kilometer of the race, this is my biggest mistake of the finish. Like I said, this side is pretty windy. I'm in really good position here, and after coming down the downhill, the speed lets up. I should have stayed on the white jersey's wheel here and gone left, but there was a redshift guy who was on my left here, so that was not an option anymore. I should have gone to the right of Ramiz, who is this redshift rider in front of me. That would have given me the inside line for the final corner. Even though I'm eating a little bit of wind, it would have definitely helped me settle into maybe 4th or 5th wheel coming out of that corner. But yeah, because I got swarmed on both sides, I end up losing maybe about 10 wheels or so. And then I end up staying boxed in just because everyone's kind of spread across the road. I do the best that I can to navigate the finish. The camera makes these spaces look a little bit bigger than they actually are. And when I started my sprint, I actually had to start my sprint pretty upright without swinging my bike because I didn't want to endanger or potentially bump the KBS kid that was next to me here. Yep, I get 4th. Had enough juice, had enough fitness on the day. Just ran out of road, mainly because of bad positioning. So, positioning matters. Who would have thunk it? But yeah, we get to run it back this coming Saturday on the 8th of March, and I will potentially post a video recap of that one as well. I was kind of curious as to what happened to Nick, because from the position that he was in, he probably should have been able to win that pretty easily. But he shared with me after the race that his speed plate cleat was extremely loose, so he wasn't able to sprint at all. So yeah, typical first race type of things going on. And I'm not sure if you caught it on the right side of the screen. As I started my sprint, Ting from District Taco went down with a touch of wheels and actually ended up hitting the curb on the way down. So he is out for the next at least 6 weeks. Yeah, definitely always sad when someone goes down. Hope you recover well, Ting. Alright, if you enjoyed the video, give it a like. Subscribe if you haven't already. I make these videos for the local racing community and for anyone else who's interested. So, it's all for you guys. I'll still be Zwift racing throughout the year. Just not as much during the fair weather times, obviously. But yeah, I'll catch you guys later.